It's time for your Low Country real estate market update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston. You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. I'm your host, Brian Beatty. Thanks for joining me this weekend as we talk about housing here in the Low Country. Anything you need to know about buying, selling, or investing in real estate can be found on this program. And if it's your first time tuning in, this is where we talk about real estate news here in the Low Country. We cover both national, regional, and local real estate news. I share my experiences as somebody that's been in the top 1% of this market since 2009, about 1,000 transactions under my belt, over 150 homes sold this year. And so I like to bring my experiences to the table and share them with you, help you become more informed so that when it comes time for you to buy or sell or invest in real estate, you know what's going on. You know what's going on in the market, and you're more educated than the average bear. So if at any point in time I can help you with your real estate needs, you're thinking about making a move this year or next, I'd love the opportunity to speak with you privately off air. I can be reached at 843-345-1273. That's 843-345-1273. That's my cell. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. More information on that website about, who I am, my team, what we do, what we sell. And if you're thinking about selling your home, we do still offer that 2.4% listing commission to help you sell your home. So giving you a reduction in commission, we are certainly not cutting anything from our marketing. In fact, I'd venture a guess and say that we do more to market our homes than probably 99% of agents out there. So if you'd like to learn more about that, listingsincharleston.com is the website. So let me give you an idea of what I want to talk about over the next hour or so. I want to talk about some tips to help you sell your home during the holidays, which is always a bit of a tricky time of year to sell real estate in terms of, how do we prepare our home for sale? Do we decorate? Do we not decorate? So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. I'm going to talk about some things that I think are going to happen next year. I'm going to uncover some trends that I believe to be true in 2017. A little bit later on in the program, we're going to talk about selling for sale by owner. Obviously, it's a seller's market still. And so a lot of people are putting their homes on the market without an agent. So I want to give you some things to think about if you're going to take that course of action. And then lastly, we're going to talk about buying an investment property. A lot of people picking up properties as rental homes, either in a local neighborhood or on the Isle of Palms, even downtown Charleston. A bunch of variety in terms of rental properties here in the Low Country. So I want to talk about that, talk about some things to think about. I own several investment properties. I come from a family that has been in real estate for decades, that owns a multitude of real estate investments. And so I want to give you some things to think about if you're going to buy an investment property. So that's what we've got coming up over the next hour or so. But let me give you some tips about selling your home during the holidays. A lot of people think that selling the home during the holidays, or at least the winter months, it's a bad time to list a home for sale. But frankly, that's not really the case in my opinion. I've always had a very strong month in December in sales. I think part of that has to do with the fact that not a lot of agents are working this time of year. A lot of agents kind of want to kick up their feet, relax, reap the benefits of a year of hard work, and then they'll start again sometime in January. So this is the time of year for most agents to take a break. This is the time of year where I double down. I really try and push myself, even though, yes, I'm tired. It's been a busy year. We've sold over 150 homes, a lot of transactions, a lot of energy has been required to get to that point. But this is the time of year when I think people are most motivated to buy or sell a home, which I think is a strong statement. But if anybody's looking at property this time of year, usually they are more serious than just your average kind of everyday tire kicker. So although the quantity is less, I do believe the quality is higher. And if you're selling your home, you choose to keep your home on the market during the holidays or list your home in December or the early part of January. To me, it sounds like you're more of a motivated seller than most. There's some sort of reason behind selling your home rather than just, hey, we'll throw it up on the market and see what happens. So I think that this time of year is a fantastic time of year to sell your home. And, again, traffic might be a little bit slower. The quantity might be less, but I do believe, and this is my 11th year in real estate, December has always been a great month. So I do think that it's a fantastic time to think about putting your home on the market either this month or next. if you want to sell your home next year, I certainly would consider putting it on the market sooner rather than later. Don't necessarily wait until March or April, because that's when you've got all your competition hitting the market. So having said that, before you put your home on the market here in the winter months, first of all, make sure you actually want to move right now, because it's very, it can happen very quickly. We've done 9 transactions already this month. That's almost one a day here in December. So there's a lot of activity out there still, and a lot of people didn't think that they would be selling their homes so quickly. In fact, we've put homes on the market here in the past few weeks that will be selling by the end of the year. So again, some good activity out there, but here's some things that you need to think about if you're going to put your home on the market during the holidays. First one I would say is, enjoy your decorations. Just don't go crazy with them. Don't go all Clark Griswold on your house. I think that's going to be a little distracting to buyers. So, we enjoy our holiday decorations, but if you're going to sell, just take it a little bit easy. First of all, you don't want to go too over the top with that. Plus it can cramp the inside of your home. Doing some things on the outside are okay. Obviously, just be tasteful about it. No, don't be like one of the neighbors in my neighborhood and have like 10 different inflatable animals in the front of your yard that are like 15 feet high. I'm not kidding. It's like you can see it from space. So don't do anything that's going to detract away from your home. And on the inside, it's very easy to clutter your home with decorations. I do think, however, it's an opportunity for people to kind of warm up to your home. I do think that it can create a very cozy environment. It helps people see what you're actually going to do when you live in that home. They're going to get excited about spending Christmas in that home next year. Going to give them some ideas on what they can do. So I do think that overall decorations are okay. Just, ease it up a little bit. Number 2 is this time of year, it goes hand in hand with what I was saying earlier. You really do need to make sure you have a quality, professional, and motivated real estate agent right now. And what I mean by that is someone that's going to really work during the holidays. Don't hire someone that's going to vanish on you during the holidays. Get someone who is serious about working to get your home sold. The holidays are, they're stressful enough for a lot of us, especially when we're traveling. We've got big family functions involved. So just remember, a highly skilled and motivated agent will help make your life easier, not harder. The last thing you want is to ask yourself, what in the world's going on with my house? I listed my home in December per my agent's advice. Haven't even really heard from them since putting the home on the market. What in the world's going on? So if you're going to take advantage of this market this time of year, just make sure the agent that you hire has the bandwidth to actually take you on as a client right now, rather than just stick a sign in the yard and put it in the MLS and then really kind of wait until the first part of next year to step on the gas pedal. There are a lot of sales to be made between now and the end of the year, or a lot of contracts to be written. Just make sure that the agent's on board with that, because it can happen. We do it every year. It's a fantastic year for us. We call it gold mining season on my team. December is the opportunity for us to gain market share, because that's when, frankly, not a lot of agents out there are really pushing very hard to get the deal done. A lot of agents kind of take the month of December off, or they take it very easy. Not here to talk negatively about agents. I would certainly, in a different world, like to do the same, but I see the opportunity, and my clients see the opportunity. So we're going to work hard to get it done. Number 3, I'd say, is that, the buyers that are looking right now are motivated. Again, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but those that are shopping for a new home right now during the holidays typically aren't doing so on a whim. So I would get together with your agent, get those buyers in front of your home, get those marketing pieces out as soon as possible. I always tell my clients that my job is to not only cast as wide a net as possible to market your home, but it's also do it as quickly as possible. You've got 4 to 6 weeks when you hit the market of really your best traffic ever, because you're essentially marketing to 2 groups of people. Group number 1 are the people that are ready, willing, and able to buy a house right now. They just haven't found what they're looking for yet. The second group of people are the people that enter the market every day. Something changes in their life. They get a new job. They've got a growing family. They're retiring and need to downsize. So group 2 is really ever changing. Usually within the first 4 to 6 weeks, you kind of exhaust that first group of people, the people that are ready to write an offer on your house if they like it. So you just want to make sure that if you are going to list this time of year, that you're working with an agent that can put you in front of the motivated buyers quickly and effectively. So that's number 3. Number 4 is to work on your curb appeal. Keep up with the maintenance on the outside of your house. I know it's a lot, but you've got to take care of your trees, rake your leaves, clean out the gutters, touch up the paint. And yes, your grass is kind of dormant right now, but we see a lot of fantastic weather ahead of us this time of year in Charleston. And, you have to think about it this way. A lot of people that are moving to Charleston are moving from up north. They're used to much cooler weather this time of year. So for them, the weather is still very livable. They still want to be outside on their screen porch and sip their morning coffee or throw the football in the backyard with the kids. To them, we still have plenty of days worth of 50s and 60s and sometimes even 70s outside. So I think it makes a lot of sense to work on that curb appeal, even though it's that time of year where for us as Charlestonians, we kind of get used to the fact that, for us, our winter is just a lot different than I'd say what I grew up in, which is Northern Virginia, which, hey, 3 feet of snow. It's not uncommon. So just work on your curb appeal. And then the last thing I would say is, take advantage of this time to really make your home kind of toasty and warm and inviting. Make your home feel kind of that warm and snuggly feel that you tend to crave this time of year. Get the heat going if you're in a somewhat colder area. If you're kind of struggling between, do I keep my AC or do I keep my heat on? I would say just make sure you keep your home warm and cozy. You don't want somebody to walk in there and feel cold. So make them feel warm and inviting. I'd say that if you have a fireplace, this is a fantastic time to kick on that electric or that gas fireplace if you're going to be returning to the home after the showing. Don't put your fireplace on and then leave it for the entire day. I don't recommend that. I don't think that's safe, but it's a fantastic way to kind of utilize that specific selling feature of your home because, frankly, we as Charlestonians don't really use our fireplace very much this time of year. But, make it smell nice, turn the fireplace on, make it cozy and inviting. Anything that you can do, put out some small treats. I know this sounds kind of silly and ridiculous, but the more you can get a buyer to stay in your home and feel comfortable in your home and just look around and get used to the idea of maybe living there, the more you have an opportunity to create an emotional connection between that buyer and the house, and hopefully that increases your chances of getting an offer. So just a few options for you if you're going to be selling your home here during the holidays. When we come back, I'm going to talk about some things that I think are going to happen here in 2017 as it relates to the housing market. So stick around. Again, feel free to contact me if you want to talk about buying, selling, or investing in real estate. My number is 843-345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Remember, 2.4% commission to sell your home. So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Have a real estate question? Ask Brian Beatty. Send him an email, lowcountryhomesales@gmail.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show is on 1250 WTMA. Now, here's more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston. Thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. I'm your host, Brian Beatty. We just talked about what you need to do if you're thinking about selling your home during the holidays. So I gave you some tips on how to prepare your home, how to make it as inviting as possible to potential buyers. And what I want to talk about now is some things that I think are going to happen, some things that will continue to happen into 2017, just to give you guys an idea of where I think our market is headed. Set some expectations for our market next year if you're thinking about buying or selling or investing in real estate. Having said that, if at any point in time you're thinking about buying, selling, investing in real estate, you have a general knowledge question you'd like to have answered, I'm here to help. It doesn't always have to be about just, hey, I'm thinking about selling my house. It could just be, hey, Brian, I've got a quick question for you. Or, Brian, do you know a really good contractor for this? This is a service that I provide, and I'm happy to help you in any way, shape, or form as it relates to real estate and housing in general. So if you'd like to reach out to me for that, I can be reached at 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. A lot of information on there about who I am and what we do to sell real estate, the success we've had in doing so. Every version of this, or previously recorded version of this show is on my website. So a lot of information on there. I invite you guys to go and take a look at that, listingsincharleston.com. And of course, 2.4% commission to help you sell your home. Now, so let's get into this because I've got a lot of ground I want to cover as it relates to some of the trends that I think you need to be aware of in the housing market in 2017. So if you're, I've got a lot of real estate agents that listen to this program. So if you're an agent, you're a first-time buyer, you're thinking about selling, you're thinking about refinancing, you're thinking about investing, there's a lot of things that I think we need to cover here, some things that I think you need to be aware of as it relates to our housing market. So number one, prices are going to continue to rise. I believe this to be true. We have been saying for a while now that we've been on such a aggressive upward trajectory on pricing for such a long time now that at some point soon it just makes sense that the rate by which prices are going to increase is going to slow down a little bit. And I do believe that to be true. I don't think that we're going to see such an aggressive increase in pricing as we have in the past. I do think it's going to start to level off just a little bit, but I do think prices are still going to rise. And if you look at the prices of home nationally, they've risen sharply all year. And we actually set an all-time record in September and surpassed the highs of our real estate market before the financial crisis. So we literally recorded the highest median sales price in history in September. Now, nationally, of course, those numbers aren't out yet, but the single-family homes pricing have increased 5.5% this year, which is according to the Case-Shiller Index, S&P. So if you look at that index, that covers the entire nation. You look at some of the pricing out west, and it's certainly more aggressive than it is on the East Coast in some areas. We, in Charleston, are one of the hottest markets in the nation, which is awesome. And there's, how many reasons can we come up with why that is? I mean, what a fantastic place we live in. Of course, it's a fantastic market. There's a lot of people coming here and realizing just how special it is to live in Charleston. So, if you look at the new peak, we'll be seen as kind of a market that's going away from a shifting market to a market that has now recovered and is advancing. And of course, again, we don't have data on October's numbers yet on a national level at least, but prices are expected to continue to rise this upcoming year. And part of the reason for that increased house pricing is because builders are only building homes at around 60% of their capacity, meaning that inventory is a little tighter than usual. We're just not getting enough inventory on the market quickly enough. So the low amount of inventory is driving up prices. It's supply and demand. So if you're buying, that means you're going to have to pay a little bit more next year than you are this year on a house. More than likely going to be the case. So if you're already a homeowner, obviously that means that you'll have a little more equity next year than you will this year. Let's talk about mortgage rates for a second. Do we think mortgage rates are going to rise? I think absolutely yes. So along with increasing house prices, we've got increasing mortgage rates, and financing rates did shoot up a little bit after the election in November, and it's projected that rates are going to continue to rise through much of next year. So this just means that if you're buying, you want to try and get your rate locked in sooner rather than later. And if you want to refinance, I would certainly suggest doing that now rather than waiting for summer, fall, winter of next year. I just think that rates will go up. And, this is what they're saying. The market overall is doing well. We've got positive jobs. We've got positive economic growth. Could we be doing better than that? Absolutely. But as soon as they feel the market can support it, they are going to increase rates. They've tried several times this year. I don't know if you guys have been following this and noticing this, but they've tried a few times and then they brought it back down. Market wasn't quite ready yet. They're thinking that at some point next year, the market will be ready to support a slightly higher increase in interest rates. Just remember that for every 1% interest rates go up, it equates to around 13% increase in your monthly mortgage payment. So I think another trend that's going to continue into 2017 is it's going to be a little easier to buy. The price of homes, of course, are going up, which is a function of the labor market as it continues to prove, and those ultra low interest rates that we've become accustomed to. And amid tight inventory and intense demand, we've seen that it's been a little bit of a tough time for a buyer. It's forced a lot of people, especially first-time home buyers, to continue renting longer than they would like to. But I do think that next year it's going to be a better year for those first-time home buyers and for people that want to try and get into the market. And I do want to say one thing. I don't think it's smart to confuse this recovery that we've seen in pricing with a full recovery in the housing market overall. I still think that there are some big imbalances between renters and homeowners and home buyers and home sellers. It's still very much a home seller's market. It's still very much a property owner's market in that rents have gone up dramatically over the past several years, which is kind of preventing people from saving money for a down payment to kind of get out of that cycle of renting and into home ownership. But with mortgage rates going up, it's actually becoming a little easier for borrowers to secure a mortgage. Banks have become more willing to work with borrowers. And it's likely that they're going to lower some of their required credit scores, and they've certainly loosened up on some of the requirements. I've got a few lenders in town that are really opening some fantastic doors, especially for those that are self-employed, like myself. Obviously it's within my best interests financially to take as many tax deductions as I can. I want to keep as much of the money as I make. Common sense here. But for the self-employed individuals, that really, of course, adjusts your adjusted gross income, which is what the banks look at in terms of your lending power. So now they're using bank statements rather than tax returns, which I think is fantastic. It can be a more realistic approach to what this guy or this gal can actually bring to the table in terms of monthly income. So I think it's a fairer way of treating self-employed individuals. And I also think that, just overall, mortgages have become a little easier to obtain. One interesting note is that there has been kind of a decline in foreign buyers and in institutional investors and all cash buyers. I mean, previously, cash buyers were at an all-time high, but it's kind of expected in our market that will decrease and continue to do so, which is a result of several factors, rising home prices, interest rates. It's easier to just get a mortgage than pay cash because it's affordable to. So that's good news for some buyers in that, they're going to have a little bit less trouble getting into a mortgage. And if you talk to lenders out there, they really are uncovering some programs that I think are very attractive to buyers. Less down payment requirements. If you're getting a jumbo loan, 10% down, no PMI. There's a bunch of stuff out there. And if you have questions about that, I've got a few lenders that I work with very, very closely. And if you've got, a credit score that's a little lower than you'd like to have, or you've got some sort of unique situation that doesn't necessarily look attractive to an institutional bank, give me a call. I'll put you in front of them. Some of these guys have some really amazing programs that can help you. So again, my number 843-345-1273, or you can contact me through my website, listingsincharleston.com. Two more quick things that I want to mention as it relates to just the market in general in 2017. I do think that rent increases are going to slow down a little bit. The rate by which rents are going up will tend to slow down. If you're looking at apartments that are located in cities, large cities, they're going to likely continue to increase their rent over the next year. It's just going to be at a little bit of a slower pace than some of the years before. A lot of this is because builders are finally kind of catching up to the inventory needed to support our housing market, especially for those that want to get into that first-time home buyer segment of our market. Builders have kind of shied away from putting that kind of inventory on the market over the past few years because first-time home buyers have had some problems financially getting into the market. So the builders have clearly just gone where the money is, which is the kind of middle-of-the-road products. So I think rents are going to slow down just a little bit, which is good news for first-time home buyers. Hopefully try to get them back into the market. And then the last thing I'll say is that there are more agents entering the market now than there have been in the last several years. If you look at the number of agents out there, for every new agent, it dilutes the market share for existing agents. And for agents like me, we're selling over 150 homes a year. It becomes a little bit harder to maintain that market share within our Tri-County area because there are just more agents. You get 500 more agents that are doing a deal or two or three a year. Does it hurt the big agents? No, it doesn't hurt the big agents. It just means that, in my opinion, there are more opportunities for a buyer or seller to work with somebody that might be inexperienced, that might not be the best fit for them. They just chose the agent because they were there, because it was convenient for them to work with that agent. So I think we do have more agents entering the market. That's a fact. But it just means that you, as the home buyer or seller, need to take that extra time and attention to detail to really interview that agent, to make sure that you're not making a quick and forced decision because it's convenient. Take the time to interview the agent. If you don't get the right vibe, look at another agent. I do suggest you interview more than one agent. The majority of the public just goes with the first agent they meet. And that's been the same stat for, probably 15 years, according to the National Association of Realtors. So just do yourself a favor and make sure that you understand everything that can be done for you by a real estate agent, because if you only interview one, then your knowledge of what an agent can do for you is just going to be limited to what that specific agent tells you they can do for you. Sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. So interview more than one agent and make sure you're making the right choice there. Okay, when we come back, we're going to talk about selling for sale by owner, something that's happened a lot in this market this year, some with some success, some not so much. I'm going to give you some tips and things to think about as it relates to selling for sale by owner. Again, if you want to reach out to me, 843-345-1273 is my cell, or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. 2.4% commission to sell your home. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. We'll be right back.
Find Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. WTMA. You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Welcome back, Charleston. Thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. I always like to take a little bit of time every show just to say thank you to those of you that listen to this program and use it for educational purposes to help you learn more and be prepared for your endeavors in the real estate market here in Charleston, really anywhere in the country. And that's something I'd like to help you with. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate here locally, or if you know of anybody that's moving, frankly, anywhere in the nation, I have a group of agents that I belong to that are also in the top 5% of agents nationally. So I've got a big database of agents that we all kind of share referrals with. So if you're moving out of the area, I can put you in touch with a top agent like myself here in Charleston to help you with that transition. So if that's something that I can do for you, please let me know. My number is 843-345-1273. That's 843-345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Learn more about myself, my team, what kind of listings we represent, what kind of listings we sell. And of course, 2.4% commission to sell your home. There's a big tab on that website about all that I do to market my homes for sale. So feel free to check all that out at your convenience. So let's talk about for sale by owner for a little while. I actually want to read a comment that was posted from a for sale by owner, and then I'm going to kind of share my thoughts with you after I finish reading it. So here's what they said. They said, let me just say that I totally get why people hate agents and buying and selling real estate. I feel so exposed, it's sick. These vulture agents have been swooping down on my property like they smell a carcass. People ring my doorbell anytime, like they can just come over whenever they want. They tell me how great they are and how they can sell my house. And I keep telling them that if they want to sell my house, to bring us a buyer, but they just keep calling me. And I know that not all agents are this way. In fact, I bet the good ones wouldn't even be caught dead soliciting themselves like a bunch of ambulance chasing attorneys. I just want and need life to go back to normal and to sell my house. I feel like my for sale by owner sign literally says, come harass me. I'm not getting anywhere, and the whole point in selling for sale by owner is to not pay a commission, but that's all these agents want. So that's something that, it wasn't sent to me personally, it was just something that I saw, and I think it's representative of how a lot of for sale by owners feel. I mean, you put your property on the market, and I talked to a lot of for sale by owners. You know, the thing she said about how the successful agents wouldn't be caught dead soliciting a for sale by owner, in my mind, is totally out of whack. So let me say this. The really good agents out there are the agents that are going above and beyond for their clients. Okay? It's easy for an agent to just look at the properties that are available to them on the MLS and only show their buyer homes that are listed on the MLS where commission has already been guaranteed by the seller. But it's something else entirely. It's a totally different level of service and professionalism to also look at for sale by owners for that potential buyer, because at the end of the day, the agent is supposed to help the buyer find the best option possible for them. Now, with these for sale by owners, they're basically selling on their own for one of two reasons, right? Number one is that they want to save money on a commission, or number two, they tried selling it with an agent. They didn't see the value in working with a real estate agent, and now they want to sell it on their own. And oh, by the way, they get to save a little money in the process. And you think about it, inventory is low, demand is high, prices are rising. Sounds like a good time to sell. Well, I totally agree. It's a fantastic time to sell. If you're going to put your home on the market as a for sale by owner, the first thing you need to understand is that almost 90% of all transactions happen with the help of a real estate agent. So if you're not going to compensate a real estate agent who is already working with a ready, willing, and able buyer, then you're left with about 10% of the market, which means you are truly on your own. That agent has no representation, that buyer has no representation, and you selling your home have no representation. So there's some things you need to think about if you're going to sell for sale by owner, because frankly, most sellers kind of throw in the towel after 30 to 45 days. They just don't know what they don't know. They've never been through the process before, and they realize very quickly how much of a pain in the you-know-what it can be to sell your home for sale by owner. I get complaints all the time from sellers that say, we have this home for sale by owner. It seems like all we're getting is calls from real estate agents. We're showing our home to, 85% of our showings are to real estate agents, and we really just can't find the buyers. Well, if you're not doing any sort of marketing to try and find the buyers, then that's probably going to happen. So if you're a seller, the first thing you need to know is that you need to get your home out there. It doesn't make sense for sale by owner to market their home the way that I would. I spend over $10,000 a month in marketing. It wouldn't make sense for them to do that, because then they're not saving anything. They're spending more than what it would cost a real estate agent to represent them in that process to try and match the amount of exposure that I could create for them. So number one, it's the marketing and finding those buyers. And then number two, it's the process of making sure that buyer is ready, willing, and able. If they walk through the house and they like what they see, are they in a position to buy? Have they been pre-approved, or are they paying cash? When can they close? Are there any special contingencies to the contract that need to be taken into consideration? Maybe they have a home they have to sell first, which was a show I did last weekend. We talked about all the options, all the possibilities, all the things that can go right and wrong when selling your home and buying another at the same time. It's a tricky process. If you've never been through it before and you're for sale by owner and you're trying to facilitate that whole process, God help you. It's going to be hard. You really need to have some help. And I'm not saying that from a salesman's perspective. I'm telling you that there's a lot that can go wrong in that process, and you can very easily mess things up on a contract and then have to honor that contract. And if you don't, you're very much exposed to a lawsuit and all kinds of other stuff. So the first thing that you need to know if you're for sale by owner is that you have got to be prepared to work hard. We've got to talk about condition and staging and getting the home ready to sell. We've got to talk about the pricing research you're going to do to make sure you're not overpriced. I just took a listing this week, which was a for sale by owner in Mount Pleasant. They started at $550, then they dropped their price to $525. Their home is worth probably around $480. So they weren't getting any showings from real buyers. They were very frustrated with that. And the majority of people that were coming through the home were real estate agents. Well, the buyers were seeing their property online and they're saying, no, thank you. Not for that price. They're not interested at that price. And the challenge is that a lot of agents aren't necessarily going to tell you what you need to hear. They're going to tell you what you want to hear, so that at some point when you become frustrated with the process, they think that they've got, the golden ticket. They've got the magic bullet that's going to help you sell your home in a day for full asking price, multiple offers, blah, blah, blah. Don't get me wrong, that can happen. I've helped a lot of people do that this year, but there is nothing that can replace hard work and preparation. So you need to do your work on the property. You need to research what other homes are selling for in your area. Don't just go off of what other people are asking. You can ask whatever you want in a market like this for a home. It doesn't mean it's going to sell. Look at what the sold prices are. Do your homework on that. And then, of course, we talk about the marketing. It doesn't make sense for a for sale by owner to market their home the way that I do. They would lose money on the transaction. I'm spending $10,000 a month in marketing. It just doesn't make sense for them to do that. So they need to have a realistic idea of what that marketing will produce for them. Where are the best places to go? Where does it make sense to invest some money to gain the exposure needed to get in front of the buyers that are looking? And I will help you with that if you're for sale by owner. I know that a lot of people want to put their home on the market, save a commission, and not deal with the headache, quote unquote, of working with a real estate agent. But I do think that if you're going to sell for sale by owner, you're probably going to have more headaches than you would if you were working with a real estate agent. The other thing is you've got to be available. You got to be available to show the home. If you're working a 9 to 5 and you're only available in the evenings and weekends, not every buyer is going to be willing to accommodate your schedule. Some of them are ready, willing, and able to buy, and you're not the only home that they're interested in. So something to take into consideration. The only thing that I would say that's in addition to that, really there's several other things that go into this process, but you've got to be the one that pre-qualifies the showing, and you've got to be the one that solicits the feedback after the showing. The challenging part for sale by owner is that people struggle to really give you the blunt, honest, cold truth about your home because it's you. You're the owner. They don't want to hurt your feelings. They don't want to offend you. They might be interested, but not at the price you're asking. They have trouble with telling you that. And you look at the kind of people that purchase for sale by owners. It's one of really 3 or 4 people. The first one are the people that are represented by a real estate agent. So that agent's going to expect a commission in return for providing you with a buyer that they're working with to help them try and find a home. The second, of course, are the people that are unrepresented. We've already mentioned that represents about 10% of the market. There aren't very many out there. Number 3 are the people that want to look at a home, but they might not necessarily be ready to buy. We call those tire kickers. And then number 4 are the people that are kind of fishing for a good deal. And I'll be honest, I have purchased 2 properties in my lifetime that were from, well, I've purchased more than that, but the 2 purchases that I made that were for sale by owners were the best purchases I ever made because I got such a good deal on those pieces of real estate. And frankly, yes, I'm a real estate agent. I know my market. I know values. I know what homes are worth. It's not my responsibility to tell you what your home is worth. It's my obligation to try and get the best deal possible for myself and my family. So if you're for sale by owner, it really goes back to price. You have got to know your numbers. You have got to know your market, because if you underprice it, then you're probably going to get taken advantage of. You just, even if you contact an agent to say, help me with the pricing, hey, pay the agent, for your time, for a little bit of time, for the knowledge, or get an appraisal. That'd probably be your best bet. Spend $400 or $500 on an appraisal, and then you've got some assurance that you're asking the right amount for your home. Of course, the flip side of that is that you overprice your home, and then you deal with what some of these for sale by owners deal with. You're only getting calls from real estate agents because no one else is looking, because they know you're overpriced. They're not interested at that price. A lot more I could talk about with regard to for sale by owners, but I want to say this. I've got a few resources for you if you're thinking about putting your home on the market on your own. Number 1, I have an ebook that I wrote and published that is 90 Things to Sell Your Home for Top Dollar. So it's an ebook. It talks about everything that you can do to your home, everything you can do while the home is being shown, and a variety of other things that can help you sell your home for the most money possible. The other thing is that you need to know your contracts. I'm happy to share with you all the documents you're going to need if you're going to sell your home for sale by owner. So contact me through my website for that information. Happy to provide it to you. No cost, no obligation, here to help. My website is listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. And remember, 2.4% commission to help you sell your home. Happy to help discuss that with you as well. My number is 843-345-1273 if you want to call me about anything else. And stick around because we've got one more segment right here on the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Stay tuned for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. WTMA. Now, the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues on Charleston's Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, to the last few minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Appreciate you sticking with me. If this is your first time tuning in and you missed a part of this show, you can always go to my website to catch the remaining portion of the show or any show I've ever recorded. I've been doing the show for 5 years, and they're all on my website. So go to listingsincharleston.com if you'd like to learn more about the real estate market, or, of course, contact me about your interest in buying, selling, or investing in real estate here in the local area. That's listingsincharleston.com. Remember, 2.4% commission to sell your home. And, of course, call me with any questions or interest in working together. My number, 843-345-1273. 345-1273, listingsincharleston.com. So a few minutes left. I want to talk about some things you need to consider if you're going to buy a rental property, of which I own several, of which my family has really kind of built their wealth on. Something I help a lot of people do. They kind of transition into investment properties as a way to supplement their income. Fantastic way of doing so. Just some things you need to know if you're going to get into real estate investments. A lot of people kind of shoot from the hip. They see a home that's fairly well priced. They see a home that they could probably rent quickly or that they could get a decent amount of money for, and they don't really take anything else into consideration. So I want to give you kind of the whole spectrum here, things to consider when buying investment properties. So first of all is location. Location, location, location. Buy in an area that, number one, tenants are going to want to live in, and number two, in an area where you expect to see some appreciation. A lot of people tend to look at the numbers in investment properties strictly from the standpoint of, here's the total gross income that I can earn on an annual basis, and then from there, Of course, you have to deduct your taxes, your insurance, your maintenance, something called vacancy loss, which nobody ever calculates. How long is it going to take you to rent the property? If it's going to take you 2 months or 3 months to rent the property, don't you think that has an impact on your investment, the return on your investment? Of course it does. You need to calculate that. You need to know your numbers with regard to that. And then, of course, are you going to have a property manager? Because that's going to cost you somewhere between 8 and 10%. If it's a vacation rental, it's going to be more than that. So you need to look at location. Is it going to be an area that's going to create some appreciation for you, which is challenging to calculate, but definitely something to consider? And then is it going to have an attractiveness to it where tenants are going to want to live there? Because that's going to help you shorten your days on market and finding new tenants. The second thing is budget. You need to identify the max amount of money that you're willing to spend, not just on the purchase price, but purchase price plus improvements, things you're going to do to the property to get it rent ready. A lot of people don't necessarily take that into consideration. They certainly know how much cash they have and they know how much they can spend on a property, price plus improvements, but they tend to forget that if you're going to purchase a property, you have to calculate the basis of your investment as being the purchase price plus improvements. So if you're going to buy something for $200,000 and you can rent it and earn $20,000 a year on it, then you found yourself a 10% cash on cash return on your investment. And that's, of course, $20,000 after expenses. And that is a home run. That is fantastic. But if it's going to be bought for $200,000 and then you need to put $50,000 into it, guess what? Your ROI just went down fairly dramatically. So something you need to take into consideration. I think the other thing that people really struggle with is, so let's say that we've actually got a decent amount of money that we're going to invest. Let's come up with a number, $500,000. I want to spend $500,000 on rental properties. So I get this question all the time. Brian, do I purchase multiple investment properties and diversify my portfolio, or do I buy just one? Well, here's something for you to think about. Yes, you could buy 5 $100,000 investment properties. Guess what? Now you've got 5 times the headache because you get 5 different types of tenants that you have to manage. It's not just about managing the house. What you need to expect is the unexpected when it comes to managing and dealing with tenants. Tenants can make or break your rental property. It's not just about paying on time. It's not just about abandoning the property. It's also about the damage that they cause. You have to look at those tenants and say, all right, if something were to happen, and let's say that they do cause a massive amount of damage, are they collectible? Can I get something out of them to return my property to the state it was in before they rented it so I can get it back on the market, get it re-rented, and recoup some of those losses? So to answer the question, do I buy 5 $100,000 investments or 1 $500,000 investments? It just depends. It depends on where you want to be. If it were me, knowing what I know and having the rental properties that I have, I'd probably just buy the 1 $500,000 investment, so long as I can purchase it at a price that makes sense. The challenge when you get into a higher price range and you're looking at investment properties is that it's a little bit harder to find a good deal, because the majority of people that those homes sell to are people that are living in it. They're selling it to the end user. Whereas on the $100,000 or so side of the coin, you still have distress sales. It's very, very, very challenging in this market to find a short sale or foreclosure in the $400,000 price range or above. There's just hardly any of them. But if you go to lower price ranges, you go to areas slightly outside of Charleston proper, there's plenty of them. They're not as abundant, certainly, as they were back in 2009 when it represented almost a third of our market, but they're out there and they represent some good purchase opportunities. So I think the thing that you need to take into consideration if you're going to buy a rental property in 2017 is what is the absolute required return on investment. That is, frankly, it's probably the biggest thing that matters. It's not the only, but it's the biggest. Is if I'm going to take this money and put it into a home, how much can I get back out of it realistically? And it's something I've helped a lot of people do. I do it for myself. And if that's something I can help you with, give me a call, 843-345-1273, or go to listingsincharleston.com. Remember, 2.4% commission to help you sell your home this year. And I'm going to honor that until the first quarter of next year. We'll see what happens as this market shifts a little bit, which we talked about earlier today. So 843-345-1273 or listingsincharleston.com. Charleston, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and thanks for listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. 843-345-1273.